Your last name, Okugo, Okugo. It's kind of funny because my daughters are big fans of the band Okugo. And actually, I've noticed that you use Okugo as kind of a call to action for something that is absolutely associated with the personal brand called Amobi Okugo. And that is the Okugo Foundation. Or do you pronounce it Okugo Foundation, or is it the Okugo Foundation?
The Okugo Foundation, a play on words.
Tell us what that play on words actually describes and is all about.
Yeah, thank you so much again for having me back-to-back weeks. I always wanted to do something with my last name, Okugo. You know, as Nigerian, as a first-generation Nigerian American, people would always, kind of butcher it. And I was always saying, Okugo, like Okugo as a way to spell it. People were like, wait, okay. And from there, I just always stuck with me. But then when I started my foundation, I realized, all right, let's make it Okugo, because what we're about with our foundation is, helping children from underserved communities with resources to be, I don't want to say self-sufficient, but help them figure out pathways to better themselves in their communities. Obviously, we're passionate about soccer, so we do free clinics in the soccer space. Passionate about financial literacy, so we do financial workshops, educational workshops on personal development, career development, life skills, different things like that. And then social programming to help, expand the horizon. So we do field trips, we'll have guest speakers come in, activations, different things like that to just change the narrative. And that's what we've been doing. It's been a long process, but this year we've really taken a couple strides in how we make some impact and create value. And that's what we're all about. I'm going to try to continue to do that.
I'm fascinated by that because, one, good on you for starting a foundation, but I got to be a little mercenary and say good on you from a personal branding perspective for having that as something that actually, I don't want it to sound too mercenary, but it actually supports the whole A Frugal Athlete platform that you're creating as well. Because it's always nice to have that, hey, I can help you, but you can help me by the way that I'm giving back to the community and the things I'm doing there. So it's not either or, they're mutually supporting and wonderfully complementary to each other. Did you set out with that in mind, or was it more of I want a foundation just because I want to give back? What was your thinking when it came to starting the Okugo Foundation?
So that's a great question and point. I think initially for me, full transparency, I just wanted to create a foundation to do more than what we had to do as professional athletes in our communities. We would do like appearances and, activations within the community as community ambassadors from a foundation standpoint. But it was like we come in and then leave. So there was never like an ongoing relationship. So I wanted to do something through my own foundation where I could do it how I wanted and create impact the way I wanted. It's just funny how God works, the fact that everything's kind of intertwined with what I'm doing with the Frugal Athlete, personal brand, and the foundation, where it's not like, all right, I'm doing this thing here, I'm doing this thing there, I'm doing this thing here. It's like everything is combined and meshed together to make it like a strong, formidable brand, as you say. And I actually have you to thank in terms of, helping us with our kind of like our wording, our mission, because initially the way I had it worded, if you remember when you were on my podcast, it was kind of all over the place in terms of us trying to do everything from a foundation standpoint. But now that we understand, all right, this is how we create impact. This is how we do it in the community. This is who we serve. This is how we go about it. We've seen a lot of growth from the numbers that we've been able to reach and the support that we've been able to get. So as you say, when it comes to branding, it's really important to have a united front across all the different things you do, but also have a direction of how you are specifying what you do in your purpose.
Oh man, I'm so glad to hear that, because I always say about branding, what having a brand does for you is it gives you the most powerful word in the world as a tool you can use every single day. And that word is no. No, I'm not going to do that. No, this is certainly a shiny object, but it's off brand for me. The question, is it on brand or off brand, becomes this objective measure, not a subjective judgment that allows you to focus your efforts. Because let's face it, none of us have unlimited energy, time, bandwidth, dollars, emotional support for everything. So you've got to be able to say no. And you can do that when you know exactly who you are, what you do, and how you do it. Now, when you describe some of the programs of the Okugo Foundation, you mentioned you do soccer clinics. Oh, I wonder where that comes from. Of course, it comes from you. And then you mentioned financial literacy. I'm like, wonder where that came from. That, again, comes straight from you. So what you didn't say was, we teach kids, we do theater productions, or we have a dance studio, or we fix cars. None of those things matter to you. Now, if you were a pro athlete, for example, a pro athlete, I guess I would consider something like NASCAR to be athletic. If you were a NASCAR driver and you had a foundation that taught kids how to work on cars, I go, makes total sense to me, totally brand aligned. Mm-hmm. You aren't teaching people how to ski jump. You're teaching them soccer, which is something that in depth and is actually a part of who you are as an individual. That's what I talk about and what any brand strategist talks about when they say you need to be aligned. Soccer clinics, 100% alignment. Financial services, financial literacy, 100% alignment. If all of a sudden someone says, you know what, we need to buy a boat. No, we don't. That is totally off brand. Now, you could say we might do a team building exercise around water, but sitting there drinking alcohol probably is not the thing we do. We might go kayaking because we're that type of organization. It's that shade of difference that makes all the difference. And that's what you can do when you have a brand. And clearly you've thought pretty darn deeply about that. And I am so glad that focus is yielding the kind of results that you want for yourself, for your company, and for your foundation.
No, thank you so much. And, like I said earlier, our conversation helped as well, and it's important because what you may think your brand is, obviously you have final say, but it's important to see your brand is half of what you think yourself, but how other people perceive you. And it's a combination of between the two. And then you create the alignment, you create the purpose, you create the direction and the mission and how you go about it. So yeah, it's not something that we had right off the bat, but something that we've been able to build and cultivate. And now that we have it, like you said, once you have it rock solid, the benefits and everything else will just start to come.
I'm just nodding my head off my neck here because it's so true. I always like people to understand that having a brand, one, it does allow you to say no, but it also gives you that foundation from which to grow in a way that is completely true and completely you. Mm-hmm. I like to come up with these little bumper sticker sayings so that people actually remember what I'm talking about when I actually talk about such things. And your brand clearly has that alignment, and it clearly is based on who you are as a person, who you are as an athlete, who you are as an entrepreneur, and it's going to aid you as you move forward in a wonderful, wonderful way. What kind of stuff do you have coming up on the horizon for both A Frugal Athlete and the Okugo Foundation?
No, I appreciate you asking. So with the Frugal Athlete, we're trying to build out a whole plethora of, curriculums and courses that, athletes can use. And not just athletes, people that want to learn about financial literacy through a different way. Athletes are natural trendsetters. So our idea initially was if athletes can start talking about money from a frugal or efficient way, the people that follow them, the young people that want to be them will start thinking about financial literacy in a different way as well. So we have, we want to build out almost like a curriculum of sorts where you could take how to be a frugal athlete, and we have a whole modules, lesson plans, different things where you could pick it a la carte or just one-off courses and then kind of go from there. Hopefully that would be one big driver of revenue. And then the others just continue to content, grow, partners, sponsors, different things like that. From the Okugo Foundation perspective, that's what I'm most excited about. I have roots down in Sacramento now, so to be able to partner with some of the local community centers and school districts and offer them different services across soccer and the educational workshops. We've already locked in a couple of partners, but we're looking to do it with more and actually build out a program. Right now, I figured I would tell you, we're trying to develop a compound interest program where it will cover health and wellness through soccer and education in the form of financial literacy, and hopefully implement those with the communities and programs and schools that we are partnered with.
Oh man, you can do that now because you've literally defined pretty darn clearly who you are, what you do, and how you do it in a way that other people can see you demonstrating via your podcast, via your activity in the community, via your professional activity as well. Again, it's that alignment thing. Everyone knows what to expect because you are, one, communicating it, or as I like to say, you're projecting it out into the universe, if you will, but you're also protecting it, keeping it true to what it is, and staying on task by being aligned with who you are, what you do, and how you do it in every step of everything that you're doing. So I applaud you for doing that. Do you see a lot of athletes that are actually prepared for the inevitable day where they're no longer a player?
Even the ones that are most prepared aren't really prepared. It still hits you. I think right now you're starting to see a new wave of athletes that are thinking about it. Obviously, it's still an adjustment from just like an identity standpoint, a routine standpoint. Athletes are so used to routines. You got to build your routine once you're done playing. But I think you will start seeing those ESPN statistics that we talked about last week start to, change from a number perspective. I think athletes are starting to see the benefits of starting now while they're playing rather than waiting till they're done and trying to, pick their feet up again. But you can't, as prepared as you can, you're never going to be fully prepared.
Yeah, I have no doubt. But one of the things that I really like about the financial literacy stuff you're doing is that you're giving an opportunity to plant seeds in kids early who may have absolutely zero exposure to anything to do with finances beyond dollar bills and change they find in the sofa or out on the street someplace. Because I remember as a kid, money was this abstract thing that I knew I needed, but I didn't know how to get it. And, mom and dad took care of everything until my mom marched us on down to the bank and opened up savings accounts for all of us 4 kids and said, okay, here's your bank book. And, well, what's a bank book? This tells you how much money they have in the bank for you. This is my money? Yes, it is. Can I get it now? No, you cannot. But this, all of a sudden, just having that bank book was like, for me, and of course I'm an old guy, so bank books actually existed. That made money real, even though that money was never in my hands. And all of a sudden, wheels slowly started turning so that when I got my first job in high school, or even younger than high school, I think it was in junior high when I got kind of a paper route type job or something like that. All of a sudden, it's like, I can't spend all this. I need to put some of this away. Why? A rainy day? I don't know, but I just know that part of what you do when you get money coming in is you put some of it away. That has to be taught. I think the kids that are going to become the next generation of athletes are the ones you're talking about, which is they've seen the cautionary tales out there of the 30 by 30 films, the broke films, where it's talking about athletes that just, it's gone. But then they've also seen the huge success stories too. So, maybe I want to be the huge success story and not the person who goes broke. How can I do that? So I think it's programs like yours that are going to be planting those seeds. So good on you, Amobi, for doing that.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Well, we're getting close to the end of this episode, but before we go, I do want to let people know how they can contact you or get involved or see what you're doing. Obviously, you've got frugalathlete.com is your website for your business. And then the Okugo Foundation.org is the website for the Okugo Foundation. And it's spelled exactly as you think it would be, Okugo Foundation.org. Definitely check those things out. But you've also got a podcast.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. So a Frugal Athlete Podcast Network, it's an audio channel, a podcast where we interview athletes and stakeholders that help athletes with their money in any way, shape, or form. It could be a brand manager, social media manager, financial advisor, lawyer. We interview all different aspects as it relates to athletes and money management, speak to them about, kind of top insights, experiences, different things around athletes as it relates to money management and money. And that's essentially it. And yeah, so our OKUGoFoundation.org website is still under construction, but you can check it out and see some things, how to support if you want to get involved. And frugalathlete.com for all things a frugal athlete. I have my personal website, AmobiOkugo.com, and that's essentially it.
One of the things that Mary Poppins taught us all is that a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. Well, in this case, the medicine is financial awareness, financial education, stuff like that. For some people, the sugar might be that you're talking with athletes, you're talking with sports agents, you're talking with financial advisors who deal with athletes whose names you may have heard of. That all of a sudden makes it a whole lot more interesting than talking to someone about 401ks and exchange traded funds. It's sports with a little bit of finance. That sounds interesting. So that's where I would advise anyone who has someone in their life who is a sports junkie, who might need a little bit of financial kick in the pants, if you will. Check that out. A Frugal Athlete podcast, which I think is available just about any place you can get podcasts for free, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we had you on. We have a bunch of wonderful guests, experts that speak about their experiences and how athletes can think differently about money.
Yeah, well, everybody should think differently about money because
that's true.
We've got some stuff going on right now with cryptocurrency and NFTs and stuff like that. Do you guys touch on that at all? I mean, because those, to me, those crypto, I think is going to be around for a long, long time. NFTs, I'm not sure. Non-fungible tokens. I'm not sure that I want to own anything that goes away if the power goes out.
Yeah, we definitely touch on all that and more. We try to give an unbiased perspective on all these different topics. No way, shape, or form are we giving financial advice, but we are highlighting how other people see it from their perspective, whether it's an athlete, whether it's a financial advisor, whether it's an agent, whether it's a brand manager, whether it's a crypto expert or guru. We get insight. We highlight their stories on our platform, and we also give insight. So for example, we did something where 10 athletes that are in Bitcoin right now, or 10 athletes that have been paid in Bitcoin. So you're hearing about it, you're getting their perspective, but we're not telling you got to invest in Dogecoin, you got to invest in Shibu. We're not saying that, but we're going to give you information for you to make a better financial decision for your own personal financial playbook.
Well, you've been a very good steward of your financial responsibility by constantly underlining the fact that you're not a certified financial planner or anything like that. And I think that's important for people who are building a personal brand to understand. There are bright, shining lines you cannot cross. You can be a coach, a financial coach and stuff like that, but I'm not a certified financial planner, because you can never say that too much, because when you're talking about something like cryptocurrency and people hear what they want to hear. So if I can give anybody advice, especially in those areas, I guess the kind of landmine areas where I want people to be very, very clear about it are medical things, anything to do with medicine, anything to do with health, anything to do with finances, anything that has health applied to it, like financial health, your personal health, your athletic health. If it's got health associated with it, be very, very careful and very, very transparent and open about your certifications or lack thereof. Again, what you're doing does not stop you from doing what you're doing, but it does stop you from doing what you shouldn't be doing.
Yeah. And
recommending specific stocks or et cetera, et cetera.
I'll take this one from, someone that's very smart in the space. You can project your brand and you can protect your brand. Someone named by the name of DP.
Oh my God. I am
Yeah.
so glad that you paid attention to that, because brands need to be protected. And
for sure.
again, everybody on this podcast who listens to it knows that I've worked on at ad agencies that worked for companies like Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola's been making sweet, brown, bubbly water since 1886. And it's one of the biggest brands in the world.
Mhm.
And it's a commodity. It's a cola drink, or it's a soft drink. It's a series of soft drinks. No, it's not. It's a brand that has such loyal fans that they will redo their entire basement media room as a Coca-Cola room. So they go down there and then they watch their favorite sports teams on the big screen TV. That happens because brands are powerful. Anyone who follows a sports team, and only one sports team, knows the power of branding. I'm here in Wisconsin. The biggest brands here are the Green Bay Packers, the Wisconsin Badgers, Big Ten football, and basketball, and the Milwaukee Brewers. And I hate to say it, but the Brewers are kind of the weak sibling compared to the Packers. I mean, talk about a brand. The funny thing for me, whenever the new recruits are coming out, the ones that get chosen at the draft by Green Bay, none of them are upset to be going to this small little town, relatively small town up in Brown County, Wisconsin, because they're going to one of the founding brands of the NFL. To be able to say that you spent your career playing on the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field, that means something, because those are brands. That's the power of brand, my friend. When you get a kid from Southern California going, yay, I'm going to Green Bay, Wisconsin, you know you've got a brand.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, what's up for you with your career? Are you kind of in the final act of it, or is it going strong?
Yeah, so for me, I'm thinking about hanging them up, but we haven't decided that yet. Gonna sit down with my family to talk about it. I've been away since I was 13, playing soccer at a high level. Went pro when I was 18, and it's 12 plus years in the game, over 200 games across all competitions. So maybe take a MJ gap year, maybe continue playing this year. There's still time to decide, or just retire and move on to the business ventures that I'm very passionate about. Fortunately for me, I've positioned myself in a unique way to take advantage of some opportunities, but I think you'll get an announcement in the very near future.
Well, you've positioned yourself in a unique way because you've positioned yourself to be yourself. There's only one Amobi Okugo. You are not a poor imitation of somebody else. You are the perfect representation of yourself. And that's exactly what a personal brand should be. So good on you. I think you're doing a great job. I'm really excited to see you as you move forward in your life to entirely new challenges. But I will tell you, you have laid a foundation, or I'm going to call it a launch pad. You have a rocket on a launch pad ready to fire because you've identified who you are, what you do, and how you do it very, very clearly. You're communicating that now very, very clearly, and you've got very clear possibilities in your, let's call it, wide open niche that you've chosen to occupy in the space. And that is what I think of as 100% opportunity. So congratulations, Amobi.
Thank you so much.
That's it for this week on the Nonfiction Brand Podcast. I want to thank my guest, Amobi Okugo, for coming on. What a great conversation. And again, I would love for people to like, subscribe, refer, and review this podcast wherever you get it for free, because that really does help other people find it. Until next week, I'm DP Knudten, and he is
Amobi Okugo, aka a frugal athlete.
And I'll be talking at you all again next week. Bye-bye.